Florida Republican Senator Marco Rubio just back from Washington, D.C., and he joins us live now. Much to discuss. We thank you for taking a few minutes on your very hectic schedule, as always. The Parkland March, of course, dominating discussions right now. Students from Parkland, from Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High, leading what's going to be a huge march in Washington tomorrow, talking about gun control laws. New AP poll out today talking about most Americans, it said 90% want more done on gun laws. 69% said gun laws should be stricter. Nearly 6 in 10 in the AP ORC poll said they favor a ban on AR-15 style assault rifles. I know you do not. I know you've also met very forthrightly with a lot of students. What would you say then directly today about their pleas in this poll?
Yeah, most Americans want to see it harder for bad people to get access to guns, and that's what we've been working on. We just passed the Stop School Violence Act, and I want to thank the families, also 17 parents and spouses who signed this letter on Sunday that really helped us get it in there. We've improved the background check system.
As part of this act?
As part of the Spending Act, and then yesterday we filed the bipartisan bill to create these red flag laws that allow police to go in and take guns away from someone who's dangerous, might hurt themselves or somebody else. So there's positive momentum moving in that direction, and those are good things that are going to be meaningful in preventing these attacks, which is the best way to deal with this. To those in this poll, nearly 6 in 10 Americans, according to this poll, to those students who have said to you directly, Senator, we want a ban on assault-style weapons. Indeed, our local Congressman Brian Mast saying that. You don't support that. I do
Why
not.
not? And what do you say to those children?
Because they can't define what that is. Nobody can. That's been the struggle in the past. I mean, basically, there's an assault weapons ban in New York, but an AR-15 can still be sold because all they have to do is move the pistol grip to the back. The definition of the rifle basically means that in order to get them all, you're going to have to ban all semi-automatic rifles, and no one supports that. If we could better define it, would you support a limited ban? There is no way to better define it. I mean, it's a semi-automatic rifle. No, the better thing to do is to keep them and every gun out of the hands of dangerous people. We got to get better at doing that. We could have kept the gun out of the hands of the shooter in Parkland. With better mental health checks, with red flags, the kind of things that are now in this act. It's not just even mental health. If someone's out there making threats and multiple people know about it, you have to have a system set up like they have in L.A. where you know who those people are, and you have to have a red flag law that allows you to go to court and take away all their guns, whether it's a handgun like what was used in Maryland or a rifle. Your final message to Parkland students, if you were with them tomorrow and they were posing these very emotional and tough questions to you directly. They're not tough questions, they're important questions, and it's good. We have a long tradition in this country of speaking out. Ultimately, in order to make change, you got to change laws. To change laws, you have to work with people that do not agree with you. You have to find common ground. That's what we've done, and that's why we've gotten, in 5 weeks, done in Washington, what's in a place that's almost impossible to get anything done. And again, I want to really congratulate the 17 parents, the families who signed these letters and made it possible to do so. This topic's one we'll be talking about for months and years to come, but we do want to switch to the $1.3 trillion spending bill. There will not be a government shutdown. What does that fundamentally mean? What's in it, frankly, for South Florida? What can you achieve with it? Yeah, let me just say it's a terrible way to budget, and it should be the last time we ever do it this way. It should be done through a regular process with full transparency. That said, there are things in there that are positive for the state of Florida, beginning with hundreds of millions of dollars in increases in school funding for the whole country, but that'll include the state of Florida for security improvements in schools on issues like Parkland. It included the Stop School Violence Act that I talked about. On the funding side, it continues progress on the Everglades, including the Herbert Hoover Dike and all sorts of other funding programs that help us continue on the path towards Everglades restoration. A significant increase for NASA, which is very important to the Space Coast. Senator, will it speed final repairs on the Herbert Hoover Dike? We'd heard 2025, then 2022. Do you think this can speed those repairs and get them ultimately finished? So obviously you can't move faster than the engineering and the construction work. What it does do is speed the money, the availability of the funds, and that also happened as part of the disaster relief funding that we passed a few weeks ago. So money will not be the impediment in order to move up to a year's savings of time. Obviously, the engineering work and the construction work may lag. Senator, I hope not, by the way. A final question for those watching this. In 2010, you ran in large part, the Tea Party movement propelled you to victory on to Washington, in large part because they were fed up with the government they said was spending our children and grandchildren into oblivion. $1 trillion deficits are here again, and yet you all voted for this. What do you say to Americans who say we're writing a blank check on our children's future? Well, we are, but that's not where we're writing it. The 2/3 of the federal budget, which is what's driving the debt, is mandatory spending. It isn't part of this. Entitlements? Well, you know, people work for Medicare and Social Security. I support those programs. Like our parents and grandparents. But spending more money than they're taking in, which means we have to restructure them some way, somehow, without hurting the people that are on it now or about to retire. That's what's driving the debt, not the yearly spending. What's driving the debt is the long-term and current increases and the rate of growth on Medicare and Social Security programs that we have to save because they're so important.
Senator Marco Rubio from Miami, just back from Washington, making the rounds here in Florida. As always, appreciative of your time.
Thanks for having me.